Monday, April 20th. Welcome to my kitchen. I hope everyone had an awesome weekend and was able to enjoy some of the beautiful weather we had yesterday. I was outside working in my yard for a little while, which was really nice, but it also let me know how much work that needs to be done. So let's hope we have some nicer, warmer weekends ahead of us so Jeff can get his yard cleaned up. Okay, so we have closed the book on breakfast, guys. We are out the door. Breakfast is done. Moving on to our next unit of study here, which is the wonderful world of soup. This morning I posted on Google Classroom a very informative PowerPoint slideshow about soups and broths and stocks. I would really encourage you all to read that and go over that because it's really wonderful, insightful information in there, and kind of opens your eyes to what soup really can be. All right, now soup, folks, is, I would say, probably one of the oldest forms of food in existence. Okay, a soup is really something that's born out of necessity and a great way to utilize whatever it is that you may have and to really provide great flavor and nutrition in a very simple, economical manner. Okay. Now, our first soup that we're going to be making is we're going to start a delicious split pea soup. I know, split pea soup. It wasn't one of my favorites when I was a little guy. In fact, I don't even think I really started to like pea soup until I was a teenager. But once I grew an appreciation for it, it really became one of my favorite soups to eat and to make. So, split pea soup, guys, has a real deep-rooted history in the Northeast. Not just New England, but definitely the whole region of Quebec up in Canada. The split peas, folks, all right, they're really nothing more than just your regular garden pea that has been dried out and had the outer skin removed, and then they're just they actually fall apart into two pieces, or they split into two. All right, now you may ask yourself, why not just use fresh peas? Well, folks, up until about 100 years ago, we didn't have grocery stores to just go buy fresh peas or canned peas or frozen peas. Whatever peas that they couldn't consume in a reasonable amount of time or a responsible amount of time would have been dried out, all right, in the warm summer sun. And then they would have been able to preserve those and then, pack them up into sacks or put them in jars in a cool, dry place. And then they had peas or that vegetable to be able to consume in other forms all through the rest of the year, and certainly the cold fall and winter months. A split pea soup to me is something that always brings back kind of childhood memories around Easter. Now, when I was a little guy, I didn't like pea soup, but I was still forced to eat it. All right. We didn't let food go to waste. We really kind of had that saying, you eat what you're given in the Holland household, and you didn't leave your table until you were finished eating your supper. Okay. Now, split pea soup is something my mother and my father would always make after Easter with the leftover ham bone. Okay. And we always had ham on Easter. And so my mother would always make pea soup the following week. Now, we're not using a ham bone because I didn't have a ham for Easter. I just had a ham steak. But what I did get was some ham hocks. All right. Now, ham hocks is basically almost like the part of the ham bone down almost near like the kneecap.
Yummy.
All right. So it's kind of like this is just one of the bones right here. All right. Now it's the whole kind of like end weird piece. And what I did was I bought the ham hocks and then I slowly simmered them and we pulled all the meat and the cartilage and the tissue off. All right, and cube that up. We're actually going to get that going in our pot right now and start rendering that off. All right. It has a real smoky, porky flavor to it, but it can be very tough. It requires a long time to cook, but it's got a tremendous flavor to it, all right? And then that's going to provide some of the needed fat to cook our vegetables, all right? I'm actually going to hit this just with a touch of olive oil for a little more added fat because that's actually some pretty lean ham hocks that were in there. most soups, all right, most soups don't require a ton of time, all right? We're talking anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour at most, all right? Now, that is 30 minutes on the low end, an hour on the long end. This soup is going to take a little longer. Just the split peas are obviously dried out. They're going to need to reconstitute and then cook, and then they almost kind of fall apart, all right? Now, soup breaks down into 3 categories, all right? This is unbelievably simplified and not complicated. We have broth soup. Think of beef barley, chicken noodle, okay? We have cream soup, okay? Think of tomato soup, clam chowder, cream of broccoli, broccoli cheddar, all right? And then we have puree soup. A puree soup is split pea, or pea soup would fall into that category. Lentil soups, many European-styled soups, or what they would call a potage, would fall into the pureed soup category, okay? We're actually going to go and take a look inside the pot here on the mobile cam. Close up! Whoa! We are like popping. We are getting all kinds of fun in there. We're going to have the up top cam here as well. All right, before this thing starts exploding all over me, we're going to get our vegetables in here. We have onions, okay, small dice. Remember, that's a 1/4 inch. We have celery, also small dice. And we have carrots, small dice. All right, now, the combination of those 3 vegetables, carrots, onions, and celery, is something that we call in the culinary world mirepoix. 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 All right, that's a French term. All right. Now, mirepoix is, like we said, the combination of carrots, onions, and celery. Carrots, onions, and celery are the foundational flavors for so many dishes, okay, in what we do. So many dishes. Now, there's some cool culinary folklore as to where that term came from, and it's not really confirmed anywhere, but like all other, different areas of life and trades and things that happen, there's always kind of fairy tales or folklore. It is said that Napoleon, the French conqueror and ruler, if you will, was very particular with how he ate. And he always traveled with his own personal chef. And he went through many chefs. Everyone he didn't like, he killed. Until this one dude named Mirepoix came along, and he loved what Mirepoix made him. And Mirepoix's secret was all of his soups and stews and porridges and things that you can make in a cauldron over a campfire. Because hey, these guys are like cooking it out in war zones. He always flavored with carrots, onions, celery, thus coining the term mirepoix. Now, those 3 vegetables, they're not just in there by mistake, folks. They all serve a very practical purpose and a reason for them being in there. And you may say, what do you mean, Chef? A reason? A reason. Well, the human body has taste buds, okay? We taste different things, bitter, sour, salty, sweet, okay? And all of those, well, many of those play into the combination of these vegetables, okay? Onions, in their raw form, are acidic, all right? And any acid, anything acidic when it comes into food actually helps really open up your taste buds, all right? And acidic foods have a tendency of cleaning anything rich or fatty off of your tongue, really opening up your taste buds. But when onions cook down, acids break down into sugars and they become very sweet, okay? Carrots are very sweet. Carrots are sweet raw, carrots are sweet cooked. And then celery, in my opinion, the real unsung hero of food, all right, has like the highest naturally occurring sodium of any vegetable on the planet. All right, so if you've ever wondered why like a good fresh hunk of celery really snaps, all right, it's because it's retaining so much moisture and water. All right, so you now have sweet, acidic, and salty all come to the party at the same time. And the combination of those things is a flavor unto itself that is impossible to replicate. Now we're really starting to build some great base flavors here in our pot, okay? So we're gonna hit it with a little bit of seasoning, okay? Kosher salt, all right? Kosher salt, always a nice pure salt. We're gonna come a little closer over here, okay? Never pour directly out of the salt container, all right? Because you can't control the flow. Pour a little bit in your hand and then sprinkle it in as you need it. You can always add more, you can't take it out. Black pepper, okay? If you could smell this right now. Oh, good Lord. It smells wonderful, okay? All right, I'm lofting those aromas up into my nose. Fantastic, okay? Now, we don't want to really brown the hell out of these vegetables. We just want to soften them up or to sweat them, all right? Now, if you see, I really took care that I cut all the vegetables the same size. Why do we think that's important? Because just like portioning quick breads, all right, and just like cutting our garnish and our breakfast foods or our omelets, we want to make sure that everything cooks at the same time. All right, we want a big hunk of carrot, then a little hunk of carrot, and then a little tiny hunk of carrot, and then a real big monster hunk of carrot. If they're all even in uniform, they'll cook at the same time. And not only that, all right, it's just going to look more attractive when it's all done. Now, I said this was a pureed soup. You can certainly puree the entire thing nice and smooth. We're only going to puree half of it, and then the other half chunky, so we can see the beautiful garnish in there. And then it's going to look really nice as well, all right? Another thing, too, that's important with any soups that aren't going to be completely pureed, the size of the garnish and the vegetables and any meat that goes in there has to be able to fit on a spoon. All right, I have eaten numerous soups, and this is why I actually don't like chicken noodle soup. You go to get a spoonful and everything falls off the spoon. What the hell? Make sure it's the same size as the spoon. We're going to put our herbs in, okay? Bay leaves. Bay leaves add a ton of flavor to food, okay? Also called laurel, all right, in the horticulture world. Bay leaves, all right? We're going to need to make sure we take these out, all right? If you were to try to ingest this, you run the risk of, it getting caught in your throat and slicing open the inside of your throat or choking on it. So we're going to count these in and we're going to count them out, okay? 1, 2. We have some fresh thyme in here as well. Oh, I can already smell those herbs. Wonderful. Now, we talked about what acid does to food, all right? Vinegar is an absolutely wonderfully tremendous flavor enhancer, all right? The European chefs that I trained with when I was an apprentice, and I was fortunate to work with quite a few chefs from Europe, France, Austria, and Germany most notably, they used far less salt when they prepared food, and they used more acids, they used more vinegars, they used more citrus juice, lime juice, lemon juice, to help enhance and elevate the flavor of food, okay? So we're just going to deglaze, all right? And by deglaze, the liquid is actually going to pull some of that stuck on down here in the bottom of the pan off, releasing that flavor. So about a half a cup of vinegar. Now you'll notice I'm using a wooden spoon, all right? Whenever you can, use a rubber spatula or a wooden spoon whenever you're going to have a lot of contact with the bottom of the pan. Even though this is stainless steel and it's almost an impossibility that I'm going to really ding it up and get hunks of metal out of it, it's just good practice, okay? It's just a good habit to either use a wooden spoon or a rubber spatula.
Now, you can see that residue is starting to lift off the bottom of that pan, okay? All right, more of that's going to come off when we add our liquid. But you can see that it's lifting off, all right? We don't want that to burn or stay on the bottom of that pan too long because we don't want to waste all that flavor development there, okay? Potatoes in next, all right? The starch from the potatoes will really help in naturally thickening up the soup. All right, a little bit of water in there too, that's okay. That too will help lift off some of that fond from the bottom of the pan.
F-O-N-D, fond, is a French term for a coating or a glaze. All right, we're going to hit it with a little more salt here. And pepper. Now, if you can see down.
Look at that. The bottom of this pan is almost completely clean again. All right, so we've lifted all of that flavor off there. Now trying to get all that off of the bottom of the pan, all right, really makes this flat-bottomed wooden spoon very valuable to us.
All right, wooden spoons, these poor guys, they went through a real long time in the industry where they were getting a really bad reputation. All right, back in the 90s and the early 2000s, you didn't see wooden spoons in a kitchen and you didn't see wooden cutting boards in a kitchen. People didn't think they were sanitary. Oh, they harbor bacteria, they're dirty. Now, science, in lots of sanitation studies, investigated these claims only to find out that wooden cutting boards and wooden spoons were actually safer than their plastic counterparts. Okay? This is an organic matter. It breathes. All right? Bacteria doesn't get stuck in here. It actually comes out of here. All right? So as long as you're properly washing it, hot soapy water, properly sanitized, scrubbed right down, they're very much safe to use. And the wooden spoon and the wooden cutting board made a humongous comeback in the professional culinary world. Now, it may seem like hard work, us trying to get all of this scraped off the bottom of this pot.
But I'm going to tell you, it's going to pay off for us later on.
All in flavor. Now you can see there's almost no liquid left in this pan, so all of that vinegar is cooked down and evaporated.
And concentrated down. The water, the residual water,
has also evaporated out. So we're ready for our next step here, guys. Now we're going to hit it with our split peas, okay? Split peas are going to go in. Should those all get in there? Get those mixed up really nicely. Okay. Our bones. Going in. 2, 3, 4. We know there's 4 in, just like our Baileys, we have 2 in. So that's 2 in, 2 out. 4 in, 4 out.
Now our super gelatinous, jiggly, flavorful, delicious ham hock stock. Right in.
And since we aren't living in 19th century Quebec or New England, we're going to use this chicken stock here that I got from Shaw's. Now, guys, I would make it if we were at school. At home, unless I have a whole chicken to roast, or if I have a lot of chicken scraps kicking around, it's just not practical for me to make chicken stock, to make soup. All right. This is one of the times that, in the home cooking setting, I am 100% okay with using this box stock. Okay. Try to use this stuff instead of the broth in the cans. Okay. And look for the one that has lower sodium and no fat. All right. It should just taste like a really nice natural chicken broth almost, and the ones in the cans have a tendency of being really salty and almost these artificial like qualities.
Another quart of our stock in. We're going to end up, and we're going to have about 3 quarts of finished soup when we're all said and done here. Okay, so 3 quarts of soup, 4 cups to a quart, that's about 12 portions of soup.
Now, that's for 12 portions of soup if it's just a little cup. All right. Pea soup, folks, is something that can really be a meal all in itself. If you look in here, all right, we have protein from our chopped up ham hocks. Split peas themselves are loaded in protein, and they're very high in fiber. Okay. We have all of our vegetables in here with our potatoes and our carrots and our celery and our onions. And then also the protein addition just from the bones simmering in there and the broth in itself. So you could go for a big bowl or 2 cups with a couple of slices of bread, and then you have a delicious dinner all by itself. Now, guys, the biggest part of our job here is done. Now it's time to let the stove do its job. All right? Now we're going to adjust our heat down to a medium low here, okay? A medium low. And we want this to be just kind of like bloop, 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 simmering along. What we don't want is this big mass rolling boil, all right? If we were to allow this pot to get too hot, everything is going to cook too quickly. Now, instead of all of our flavors kind of coming together and really marrying one another and doing the wonderful things that they will do with each other, they're just going to dissipate quickly and just really kind of lose their integrity in what they are. But if we keep a nice, gentle simmer, this will really come together and be a delicious thing. Now, I'm going to give this just a taste now, right now, and see what it's like. And mind you, this hasn't even come together yet. But we have paid a lot of close attention to this pot, and we have put a lot of love in here, okay? So this should already taste really good. And it does. All right? And it does. So we're going to take a break. We're going to let the stove do its job, and then we're going to let our taste buds do ours while we adjust the final seasoning, and then we take the steps to finish the soup so it's presentable and ready for service. All right? We'll be back.
All right, we're back for a little sneak peek to see how the soup's doing, all right? She's been simmering away now for about 30 minutes, okay? So it's probably getting pretty close, all right? So we're going to go down into the pot here and take a look. So you can see here, this is right about where we want it to be, okay? See, it's got a nice, gentle little bubble and simmer. All right, you can see, oh, look at the meat falling off the bones there. Okay, that's going to add some amazing flavor to it. Okay, now what's cool about the ham hocks here, guys, and I had told you that it's kind of like the bottom end bone of the ham, and the ham is the rear leg. So if you could see all those little bones, that's kind of like the kneecap. All right, where it's down branching into the its bottom portion of its leg, where there's a bunch of little bones that are all held together. Okay, just like me and you.
So we're going to give this a little taste here, guys. See, tasting spoons. We even use those at home. We're going to see how this is. All right. Now, what we're checking for is the tenderness of the peas. Okay, the peas, we want them to be very tender, almost like they fall apart. Okay, and it looks like they're getting close. All right. So, I think this soup needs about 15 more minutes of simmer time. So, we'll be back in about 15. And we're back. All right. Our soup is ready to finish up. We got our tongs here. Okay. We need to dig out our bones. We need to dig out our bay leaves. And if you remember, 4 bones, 2 bay leaves. Now, I have a plate here. Coming close.
There's 1, 2. Here's 3. Oh, fell apart. There we go. There's 1 bay leaf. Now these little suckers can be tricky. They can stick in on the side of the pot, but oh, there it is. There it is.
All right, we're going to do one last little field check for bones. Make sure that none of them are in there. Because once we've extracted all of the flavor out of those bones, they're basically rendered worthless. And when we're going to buzz some of the soup up, we don't want them to get caught up in our blender. We'll ruin it. Okay, we're just going to set these aside, and they're going to go in the bin. Now, we're going to give this just a tenderness check on our potatoes and our peas, and we're going to be looking at the upstairs camera.
And we can see here, if we just kind of, oh, see how tender that potato is? See those peas are falling apart? Okay, we're going to give these a taste. Delicious!
They're going to go in like so. Now, the benefit of these frozen peas is they have a lot more of their naturally occurring chlorophyll still in it. Okay, and chlorophyll is that chemical compound of the gas that is naturally occurring in certain green vegetables. Okay, vegetables, in order to be green like this, they need the sun. Chlorophyll comes from the sun. Now, we're going to add about a quart, all right, or let's say 1.5 quarts of our soup to puree up in here. So we're going to go right up to here about the 2/3 mark. Now, any blender, okay, whether it's the little like bar style blenders or the ones you can get at the dollar store, any type of blender that you're using, you're producing energy and force in it, okay? And the energy and the force is going to want to go somewhere. So you need to be very careful, or you will make a mess, blow the top right off of this thing. I have had some real disasters in my time, guys. Like, covered myself in God knows what. So I learned to be very careful. And like I was saying earlier, with the fact that this blender has the feature of variable speed, which means it can start slow and go to high, we're going to start it on the lowest variable And that is going to be a slow release of the energy and the force and all the steam in there instead of popping the top right off of this. I'm going to take a little trusty kitchen towel here and hold it over the top. Our speed is all the way down, okay? And we're down here on low, and we're just going to get that going. And you can see it's blending. We're going to slowly start gradually working our speed up. All the way up to high on the variable. Now we're going to kick in the turbo boosters. Oh yeah, horsepower. And that should do it. Now, we're going to take a look down here. And you can see this is really just a nice smooth puree, okay? And we're going to give this a taste. And this should have as like rich of a delicious pea flavor as really eating the peas right off of the vine. Yum. Now, we're going to pour this puree back into the soup and give it a nice good stir so everything incorporates in together. And then we're going to see what our consistency's like. Trusty rubber spatula, because we certainly don't want to waste any of this delicious pureed soup here in this blender. We want to make sure it all comes out. Now, folks, our soup should have a nice balance of the super smooth puree, but we can still see the garnish and all of the ingredients that we use to make this soup. All right, food should always tell a story, and you should be able to look at it and know what you're eating. Okay, so we're going to go down into the pot here. Ooh, look at that. And you can see it has almost a nice pureed, smooth consistency, but also at the same time, you can see the chunks of pork in there and the split peas and the potatoes and the carrots, and everything still has held on to its integrity where you can see and know what it is, but it's not just some like army green poo-poo bowl, okay? It actually looks like something appetizing. Now, if we've done our job right, and we were mindful all the way through of properly developing our flavors and seasoning as we go, this soup should literally need almost nothing for it to be ready. We're going to give it one final taste and just adjust to our seasoning. Now, if you recall, we did add a particular ingredient earlier on that helped elevate that flavor. Do we remember what it was? Our friend vinegar. Okay, vinegar or acids are a big flavor enhancer. Now, vinegars are better to flavor enhance through the cooking process. Like I was saying, my European chefs I trained under would also use citrus juice. So if this soup needs just a little bit of boost, we're going to hit it with some lemon juice. Coming in hot. Now that's pretty good. But it definitely needs just a little bit of kick. We got some Natalie's Orchid Island lemon juice here. We're just going to hit it with a little splash, maybe a tablespoon, 2.
We're going to couple that with just a little pinch of salt. And one last smidge of black pepper. Stir that all in. This really, really looks and smells amazing. Absolutely amazing. Okay? Now one last taste test.
sure we get a little bit of everything in there. Fantastic. All right. Now that's just good eating right there. Flat out good eating. All right. So I'm going to pour myself a bowl for lunch, and just going to have a few crackers with that. And that's going to really hold me over right through to dinner time tonight, guys. All right. So this is our first soup. Okay. Split pea soup. Remember, split peas, nothing more than just dehydrated, dried out garden peas. Ham hocks, the broth from cooking the ham hocks, carrots, onions, and celery, our little magical trio we call mirepoix, some potatoes, herbs, chicken stock, and a whole lot of love and affection. I hope you enjoyed. I look forward to creating some more soups with you guys real soon. Like we've been saying since day one of remote learning, keep after your friends and family. Stay in touch. Give them a call. Say hi. Make sure everyone's doing all right. Okay, make sure you're doing all right, guys. Take care of yourselves, too. That's most important. If it takes a great meal to help take care of you, go for it. Get in the kitchen. Make a mess. Cook up a storm. Create something wonderful. Share it with me. Let me know that you're cooking. I'd love to hear it. All right? We're signing off. We want you to just keep cooking. Keep cooking good. Peace.